Good afternoon, dear students. In the last video presentation, we studied about how to separate plasmid DNA from genomic DNA and prepare pure plasmid DNA. And we've studied that it can be done. Pure plasmid DNA can be prepared or separated on the basis of its size, on the basis of conformation. And on the basis of conformation, alkaline denaturation method is supposed to be the most widely used method for purification of plasmid DNA that we have studied in the last presentation. Now let us discuss today another method of purification of plasmid DNA so that it is separated from genomic DNA. And what is that method? Ethidium bromide, cesium chloride, density gradient centrifugation. Now, first of all, a density gradient is produced by centrifuging cesium chloride solution at a very high speed. Okay, so cesium chloride solution is filled in a tube and it is centrifuged at a very high speed so that a steep density gradient is created. Why the density gradient develops? Because high centrifugal force pulls the cesium and chloride ions towards the bottom of the tube. Okay, so when cesium chloride present in a tube is subjected to centrifugation, the centrifugal force pulls down the cesium and chloride ions towards the bottom. Okay, but their downward migration is counterbalanced by diffusion of the molecules. Okay, so a concentration gradient can be set up or a concentration gradient is formed where the cesium chloride density is greater towards the bottom of the tube. That means we can say that as we go from top to bottom, the cesium chloride density goes on increasing, and that is called as a density gradient. As you can see in this picture, okay, so this is a tube which is filled with cesium chloride subjected to centrifugation, and then we have increasing cesium chloride concentration towards the bottom of the tube. So this is a density gradient formed in a tube. Okay, so cesium chloride density gradient is produced by high speed centrifuge, and then macromolecules are put in this cesium density gradient solution. Now, macromolecules that are present in this cesium chloride solution, when it is subjected to centrifugation, it will form bands. That means macromolecules will get separated at distinct points in the gradient. Okay, macromolecules, if they are present in this cesium chloride solution, and when the cesium chloride is centrifuged along with the macromolecules, the different macromolecules will get stabilized at distinct points in the gradient. Now, at what a point the molecule will get separated? The exact place where a particular molecule forms a band and gets separated depends upon the Biot density of the molecule. Now see, Biot density of the molecule does not allow the molecule to sink into the solution. Okay, Biot density of the molecule does not allow it to sink into the solution. It will remain at a position. It will remain hanging, concentrated at a position. Okay, and below that the density of the solution is more. Okay, so the macromolecule will form a band at a position where the density of the molecule matches or is equal to the density of cesium chloride. Okay, now DNA has a Biot density of 1.7 gram per centimeter cube and will therefore migrate up to the point in the gradient. It will migrate to the point in the gradient where cesium chloride density is also 1.7 gram per centimeter cube. Okay. In contrast, protein molecules have a lower Biot density and it will float at the top, whereas RNA will pellet at the bottom having higher density. Okay. You can see in this second tube, right? This is a cesium chloride tube. In this we place the macromolecule. The macromolecule, that is the cell lysate that is placed here, contains proteins, DNA and RNA. At the same time, all the three macromolecules will get separated and it will form bands at different position. At what place a macromolecule will form a band? The place at which the ion density of the molecule matches or is equal to the ion density of cesium chloride. So when DNA, protein and RNA are centrifuged along with cesium chloride in the density gradient tube, then DNA, because it has a ion density of 1.7 gram per centimeter cube, it will form a band at a position. You can see here. It will form a band at the position where the cesium chloride density is 1.7 gram per centimeter cube. DNA won't go up, DNA won't come down. Why DNA is not coming down after spinning also? Because the ion density of DNA is 1.7. And at that place, the ion density of cesium chloride is also 1.7. So it cannot come down. Okay. And proteins being lighter in weight will float at the top. You can see here. RNA will settle at the bottom. So at the same time, all the three get separated. Now the next thing which we want to do is, out of the total DNA that is separated here, we have to separate plasmid DNA and genomic DNA. We have to separate the plasmid and genomic DNA, right? And for that purpose, we require ethidium bromide. Okay. So density gradient centrifugation can therefore separate DNA, RNA and protein at a time, and hence it is an alternative to phenol extraction method and ribonuclease treatment required during DNA purification. So we need not do phenol extraction for removing protein. That means deproteinization, removing RNA steps are not required. Now, density gradient centrifugation in the presence of ethidium bromide. See, we have written ETBR for ethidium bromide now. So, density gradient centrifugation in presence of ethidium bromide is used to separate supercoiled DNA, that is plasmid DNA, from non-supercoiled DNA, that is genomic DNA. Okay. So, ethidium bromide density gradient centrifugation helps you to separate supercoiled plasmid DNA from non-supercoiled genomic DNA. What ETBR does? Ethidium bromide binds to the DNA molecules. It is an intercalating agent. Okay. So, ethidium bromide binds to the DNA molecule by intercalating between the adjacent bases in the DNA, causing partial unwinding of the double helix. Okay. So, ETBR gets intercalated between the bases, adjacent bases in DNA and causes partial unwinding of the double helix. The unwinding of the double helix decreases the ion density of the DNA. Okay, it decreases the ion density of the linear DNA by 0.125 gram per centimeter cube. However, in case of supercoiled plasmid DNA, there are no free ends, and it does not, because there are no free ends, does not undergo easily unwinding, and ETBR binds, or only limited amount of ETBR is able to bind to the DNA. Okay, got it? Because plasmid DNA is supercoiled with no free ends, it does not it doesn't undergo unwinding and binds only limited molecules of ethidium bromide. Therefore, plasmid DNA undergoes the decrease in ion density of supercoiled DNA is much less. Okay, so there is less decrease in the ion density of plasmid DNA. That is only about 0.085 gram per centimeter cube. As a result, supercoiled DNA, because see, both the DNA undergo decrease in ion density, but non-supercoiled genomic DNA decreases by 0.125 gram per centimeter cube. But plasmid DNA, because there are no free ends, so ETBR cannot enter much inside, and hence less amount of ETBR is present, so it undergoes lesser decrease in ion density. That is only about by 0.085 gram. Naturally, as a result of this, the supercoiled plasmid DNA will band at a different position as compared to linear and open circular DNA. Okay, in the ethidium bromide cesium chloride density gradient tube. Now, Just look at the first diagram. So this is a tube which contains cesium chloride density gradient with ethidium bromide. So it is an ETBr cesium chloride density gradient tube. Okay. Now, when you place the macromolecules, the proteins being lighter in weight will float at the top. The RNA will pellet down, right? And now your DNA will be present here. Okay. Why we are getting two bands, linear DNA and supercoiled plasmid DNA? Because ethidium bromide is present. More amount of ethidium bromide enters inside linear DNA, non-supercoiled DNA, and hence its bond density decreases, right? So you can see linear DNA band on the upper part or above the plasmid DNA. Supercoiled plasmid DNA does not bind with more molecules of ETBr. Hence, its density also decreases but by a lesser quantity, right? So the plasmid DNA becomes heavier now and linear DNA becomes more lighter. Okay, so linear DNA, because it is more lighter, it will form a band separately above the plasmid DNA, and plasmid DNA will be present below the genomic DNA. Okay, so the upper band is of linear DNA and the lower band is of supercoiled plasmid DNA. Now, the next thing we can do is separate. So, using a syringe, carefully remove. The tube is punctured, the syringe is pushed inside the tube, and carefully the supercoiled plasmid DNA is removed. So this is supercoiled DNA. Okay, this is carefully removed with the help of a syringe, right? Then after that, the DNA plasmid band is removed. Now we have to remove the ethidium bromide also. We have to remove the cesium chloride also. So this plasmid DNA solution is now placed in organic solvents like N-butanol. We add N-butanol as an organic solvent and shake and allow the layers, organic and aqueous layer, to get separated. Okay. So the plasmid DNA sample now is mixed with N-butanol. It is shaken, and then allow the organic and aqueous phase to get separated. Ethidium bromide will be present in the organic phase. It will be removed, and plasmid DNA will remain in the aqueous solution. So this is how we remove the ethidium bromide. Now, to remove the cesium chloride, we have to perform dialysis. So, DNA solution is placed in dialysis tubing. Okay, then and it is placed in the buffer. Okay, now the cesium chloride will diffuse out of the dialysis tube into the buffer, and you will get pure plasmid DNA. So, ETBr is removed by mixing with organic solvent like N-butanol, and cesium chloride is separated out or removed out by performing dialysis. And then what we get is the pure plasmid DNA. Okay. Now, ethidium bromide cesium chloride density gradient centrifugation is a very efficient method for separating pure plasmid DNA. What happens when a cleared lysate containing DNA, RNA and protein is subjected to ethidium bromide cesium chloride density gradient centrifugation? Plasmid bands at a distinct point, in the lower position, separated from the linear bacterial DNA. So bacterial DNA will be above the plasmid DNA. So plasmid and bacterial DNA get separate and form band at distinct point, with proteins floating at the top and RNA pelleted at the bottom. So at a single spin, you can separate all the four. The position of the DNA bands. Now, where the DNA bands are present, how to visualize where the DNA bands are present, right? Now, because ETBr has bound to the DNA, we have to expose the tube to UV light. So, when we shine UV light on the tube, or when we expose the tube to the UV light, we can find the DNA bound to the ETBr will fluoresce, because ETBr is a fluorescent dye. It is an intercalating agent. It's a fluorescent dye. So, because it is bound to the DNA molecule, it will fluoresce. So, the position at which you can see fluorescence is the DNA molecule. The upper one, which is lighter, will be open circular genomic DNA, and the lower one, which is heavier, will be the plasmid DNA. The pure plasmid DNA is withdrawn with a syringe by puncturing the side of the tube. The ETBR bound to the plasmid DNA is extracted out with N-butanol, and cesium chloride is removed by dialysis. Whatever resultant preparation you get is the pure plasmid DNA, and it is ready to be used as a cloning vehicle or cloning vector. Okay, so that is all about purification of plasmid DNA or preparation of pure plasmid DNA by ethidium bromide, cesium chloride, density gradient centrifugation.